Ugh. All good on that front. All good on that front. Hey, Stanley.
Here we are again
Here we are
in the
again.
merry month of May, and it's really nice now.
Yeah, it is.
We are probably going to pick up bits and pieces today, whatever has been on our minds, rather than a single topic, if that's okay. Yes, with you?
It's okay with
Yeah,
me.
right.
Yeah, we had planned on one topic, and then unexpected things happened, and now we're doing a new topic, which is kind of exciting.
Tell me an unexpected thing that happened to you, and then I'll tell you mine.
What's an unexpected thing
I
that
keep
happened
I
to me
keep
this week?
doing that. I know.
No, it's okay. An unexpected thing that happened to me this week. Oh well, Sarah, on the way here, I'm an hour late. By the way, none of you would ever know that, but Stanley, you know, I was an hour late today because I had to stay back. Sarah had like a very unexpected medical thing. She lost her vision for like 15 minutes, or blurry vision, for a while, and then like a really bad headache, and we didn't know what was going on. And after it lasted more than like 5 minutes, we started to say, okay, let's. I'm not going to leave you alone and go somewhere while you're experiencing this. So I stayed. Stanley was gracious enough to let me come a little late, but I think she's okay. I'll go back and see her after this, but that was a little unexpected.
Good. Yeah.
Definitely shook my morning.
That's priority one. Sure.
Yeah, priority one.
Yeah, of course. I had, and I must say one thing that's been going through my mind, and it's not the main thing that I want to mention. So many people have been knocked out with sickness lately. It seems a little bizarre to me because the weather basically is nice now,
Yeah.
getting nicer, but this one has a cold and that one has a cold, and and he said coughing, and I don't know what's happening. I had the bad news 2 days ago that a college friend of mine has died. His name was Earl Silvers, with an S at the end, Earl Silvers. We met at Northwestern. We were in the same house, same dorm. He was in the journalism school, which is the Northwestern is fairly well known for. He followed that schooling by going into advertising in Chicago. He went to work at Carson Peary Stott, the big competitor to Marshall Field, became ultimately the advertising director there. I had moved to New York, but we had become good friends. He was, among the people that I knew, he was one of the few who was in the same class as I, or vice versa. The reason being that way back when I was very young, I skipped a grade in Dallas. So ever after that, I was always the young one in my class. Earl, a year older than I, but we were actually in the same class, and we graduated at the same time. I remember my mother came, she met him. So he stayed in the Chicago area. He began to date a girl, Penny, whom he later married. Penny did not want to get married right away. She was apparently very popular. And I remember him telling me that he was beating out another competitor. But he won. So he and Penny got married. And he stayed in the retailing world for a while, good while, Carson, and then they moved to New Orleans, worked for a store there, I can't remember which, moved to Dallas, my old hometown, where he worked at Neiman Marcus, and ultimately left the retailing world. Earl and Penny had two sons, Josh and Matt, now lone married and parents themselves. Josh has stayed in that same area, the North Shore of Chicago. Matt has moved to Texas to, I tend to think, to get away from the rest of the family. They're very successful. Earl ultimately did some real estate work. Penny got into working as a teacher. I think she got her PhD, and she has taught in the education world. We have stayed in touch on and off, and mostly because we don't live near each other. They have stayed on the North Shore in one of the North Shore towns called Glencoe. But we have always stayed in touch. And Earl, I think, was one of those unusual people who was successful in business, but had a very pronounced artistic side too. He loved music. I remember him as being a pianist. I met him and Penny and Matt at Ravinia one summer, the great summer music festival outside Chicago. So she wrote me a couple days ago that Earl had died. He had suffered a progression of different things, and he passed away. He was 92. He was somebody who was important to me, I think pretty much the way that I've said, and remained important even though I didn't see him very, very frequently. It was more sporadic. Still in all, he was one of those people who, if I did see him, we picked up right away where we had been. I wrote to Penny to express my condolence, and I said to her, losing Earl was very much like I felt like losing a brother, and that's true. It does feel that way. I can't quite put my finger on why it feels different from other losses, but it does. So I wrote her a note, and she wrote me back to say that she was sending me a link to the funeral. Yesterday, I clicked on that link on my computer, and I watched for a full hour a video of the funeral. I have never seen anything like that before. The funeral, very commonly nowadays in Jewish families, takes place at the gravesite, without an indoor service. The service is very commonly now a graveside service. And that's what it was for Earl. In Skokie, another of the North Shore towns from Chicago. There were a lot of people there. The rabbi was conducting the service. Both sons spoke, Josh and Matt. Penny naturally was there. Earl had served in the service, as did I. So there was a military kind of funeral. There were two military people who took away the American flag that had been laid on top of the coffin, folded it up in military style, and handed it fold to Penny, the wife. And then there were prayers, Hebrew and English. And then, of course, the casket was lowered into the ground. In Jewish faith, caskets traditionally are very plain wooden caskets. Jews do not go for fancy iron caskets.
The Rolls Royce of caskets.
No, plain wood.
Silk inside and flat screen TV.
Yeah, and it was very nice. And then, of course, traditionally also, people throw dirt onto the top of the casket, meaning symbolically to send the person who is passed away on to the next life, whatever that may be. It was very beautiful, and it was an hour long. I was really glad that they did that because I have not seen Earl for a while. I haven't seen any of that family for a while. And it was a way for me to stay close without being there. So I wrote Penny back and I said, I've seen the service and I'm very glad that you suggested it. And I hope that maybe you and I can stay in touch. She wrote me back and said good, she was glad I watched it and we will stay in touch. So that's my story of what's happened this week. It's been very, very much on my mind. Special friend. Yeah.
What about Earl specifically do you think has made this sort of different for you than other losses you've had?
I think because he was unusual himself. What I just said, he was a pretty successful in the retailing world, which is pretty tough to be successful in. But he also had a very artistic side. He loved music. And there was a gentle quality mixed in with the hard business quality. I find that remarkable, and I think there was also a particularly devout religious quality there that has been passed on to his children. And he had a great marriage. He and Penny were married 60 years.
Wow.
So,
do you remember the last time you spoke to him?
Yes, the last time I saw him was in Chicago, the last time I was there, which is a while ago. And we had a drink in the bar at the Drake Hotel, a place. The Drake is a hotel I've always loved. It's very grand, in a sort of quiet kind of way. It's an old hotel, just at the where Lakeshore Drive turns. And yeah, we had a nice time, as we always did. The fact that I am gay and he was not was of no consequence at all.
Even all through the 50s and 60s?
Well, in the 50s, I was hiding a lot of stuff.
Okay.
That was my problem, not his.
Do you remember when you told him? Or did he find out?
That's a good question. I don't remember.
Well, that's good. It seemed to have no
effect
at all on your friendship.
My coming out was done by others more as much as by me. People who were getting tired of my playing around,
Do you feel as though, you're 92 now, right?
91.
91. Do you feel as though it has gotten easier to lose friends or harder?
No,
or just about
it
the
has
same?
not gotten easier. No, it certainly has not. And the world has become smaller for me. Inevitably, I think that happens.
Yeah.
If you live long enough, and fortunately I have, there are a good number of people who are no longer in my life because they're no longer around. No, it doesn't get easier. And because the number does get smaller, the fact that those who continue to live, I guess, become more valuable. You know, another college friend who has not been very well has been in an assisted living area here in the city. Recently had a bout with pneumonia, been transferred to a rehab facility. He and I are exactly the same age, but he's not doing well. And another college friend who has been living in Fort Lauderdale for some time is, I believe, just completely out of it now. This becomes very painful, you know,
Yeah.
very painful. People who were very sharp in one way or another. Everybody that I knew in that school, they were all sharp. Some were not so likable, but there was a very tight band of several of us who were certainly likable. And yeah, not many left.
I have to say, Stanley, firstly, just thank you for being so open to talk about this, because I do think that it's a really important reality that people, everyone, will inevitably have to face. And I think that when you're young, you just push it off. You know, you don't think about it.
It's very true. You do.
Yeah. And so your willingness to share this kind of, you know, this part of life, I think is really important. And I know it's not like the happiest of subject, but I think it's really, really important.
Well, I don't, you know, when young people push this away, which I did also until my brother got ill, I don't know that that's necessarily bad. You know, young people have a right to be young and carefree. You and I have talked some about that, about adventure, as we talked about in the last episode. You know, how our sense of adventure can change as we age. Mine grew less. I'm totally unadventurous by now. I never was very much, and I'm even less so by now.
Yeah.
You're young. You better have a good time.
Yeah. What lesson have you learned, or lessons have you learned from enduring so many losses in the last, 20 years or so?
The lesson is, not surprisingly, to just love every day. Every day has to be special. Every day has to be appreciated and a cause for gratitude. And I do feel that. And you know, on the matter of having a good time, that can change too. My good times today are certainly not what they were in the past.
You're not skiing anymore?
Well, there's no traveling.
Yeah.
There's no sex anymore, which I miss, at least mentally. So what are the good times? Well, the good times are doing what you and I do. It's the companionship. That's the good times. Having good food. I love good food. Absolutely. And that's part of my having a good time every day, every single day. I appreciate that. Having help to get me through the day, those are good times. I'm lucky I have some good help. And friends. Those are the good times. Yeah. It's not dancing, it's not going to bars, it's not going to bathhouses, it's not getting on the train or the plane or even the car for a road trip.
Seeing a beautiful sight.
No, that's not it. Also, there are the memories. There are the sort of scrapbooks. Scrapbooks that are real and scrapbooks in your head. I have a lot of scrapbooks in my head, and quite a few that are actual. Sure.
Do you find yourself falling back on specific memories when
Yes,
you're feeling down?
I not necessarily when I'm feeling down. They just come anyway. You
Yeah.
know, I can't
what's
tell
one
you
of those?
why.
What's one of those? One of those memories?
I think the time in college there at Northwestern, I actually, it's sort of funny because I chose to go to that school for the same reason that Earl chose to go there, which was their journalism department. And I can't remember why, but I never got into that. I just stayed in the liberal arts world.
Earl went into the journalism?
Yeah, that's how he ended up getting some quite good jobs, I think. That didn't hurt, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, these nice memories from those days. Those were the days that were pretty wonderful. For me, I was away from home to a different part of the country for the first time. I had never been in the Midwest. I had scarcely been out of Texas. It was a different milieu outside Chicago. Chicago was right there, right below Evanston, which is where Northwestern is. And, on birthdays or certain occasions, friends and I would go into the city. Yeah, and it was just great. It was a chance to sort of spread wings.
Yeah.
Meet people.
Launching pad.
Well, meet people I had not met before.
Yeah.
Because my time in Dallas had been very much a Jewish milieu, Jewish cliques, and I went quite far away from that later. It was very funny. The house called Sargent Hall, Sargent, G-E-N-T, was a new dormitory at that time. And it was considered kind of nice, compared to some of the older buildings. It was, of course, all men at that point. Doors were open. No, the front doors were not locked, as they are now, of course. And it was very much a mixture of people guys from all over the country and a couple of foreigners. A few black fellows, which was good for me because I had not gone to school with black guys at all. And the clique that I became part of was not particularly Jewish. It was mixed. But I loved playing politics in those days. And
how so?
I don't know. Well, just joining clubs and, I became the social chairman of Sargent Hall. And when I was about to be a senior, I ran for the president of the House of Sargent. It happens that the fellow who I was running against was also from Dallas. And I knew him. We had gone to the same high school. But we were not friends. It was very strange because we came from the same start, same place, but we were not chums. And he was running against me for that office. So he had his gang and I had my gang. And his gang began to spread the word around that if they chose me they would be choosing a Jew. It happens that I knew that Herb was also Jewish, but he had hidden that.
Whoa.
People didn't know that, but I knew it. So my gang developed a counter rumor that no matter who you vote for, you're going to get a Jew.
A Jew no matter who.
And I won.
Good slogan. Really?
Yeah.
You became the president?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
It did not endear me to him.
No. That's so funny.
As I said, we were not friends particularly anyway, so.
Was Earl in Sergeant?
Yes.
He was. Did he vote for you?
I suppose. But we became more friends after college.
Okay. How's that?
It just, these things happen. You
Yeah.
know? I don't know. Probably has happened to you too.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're running up close to 30. I want to know.
No kidding. Are we
20,
really?
26 right now.
God, I
Yeah.
certainly talked a lot.
Oh, I mean it's good. It's important. This was an important day. This is in honor of Earl.
Thank you.
This is Earl's episode.
I will tell Penny about it. In fact, when
send it to her.
this gets publicized, I will
Yeah.
suggest that she listen to it or
Yeah.
watch it.
If you were to boil down Earl Silvers into like a few qualities that you admired, how would you describe them?
There was a kind of overriding gentleness, I think, with him. And yet, he was very successful. And I think beyond the commercial world, I think he was a successful father. And I remember somewhere along the way, recently, asking him if he expected a lot from his sons, Matt and Josh. And he said, I do, but I try not to show it.
That's cool.
Well, folks, you people who have been watching and listening, I send an apology for dominating this thing so much, but
No.
anyway, I enjoyed it, and it was a wonderful opportunity for me. Being away from that family, I'm not with them, was my chance to, to say
your piece.
a word about my friend.
Yeah, I'm grateful to have been able to facilitate it. So thank you. And Earl, it's good to meet you today.
Thank you. Bye.
See everybody.